I thought I would come on today. I have so many wonderful people who have been so supportive of me and my Yorkies. And as you know, I've had three Yorkies. So Alfie, ladies' man, and Lola, who is my beloved spirit dog. She's the sassiest, most beautiful, cutest dog that you've ever seen. And I also have Poppy, who is Lola's real sister. So Poppy and Lola are from the same litter. And I just wanted to come on because Lola has been such an important part of all of my YouTubes and of all of the content that I've ever done. And she has been, this is Poppy, her sister. It's okay, Poppy. So Lola has been such an important part of every video that I've done, of every part of my life. And about 10 months ago in September, Lola's health started to really fail. And if we really back it up, Lola's health really started to fail about almost 10 years ago. We lived in a flooded building, and that is when it wound up being a moldy building. And I got very, very sick, and Lola got very sick at the time. And Lola had a stroke when she was probably about 5 years old. She also developed pancreatitis, and I developed a lot of issues at the same time. We were both getting sick, and I couldn't figure out why. So I was able to keep Lola alive for a long time, but she was declining in the past few years. And I could see it. I could see it when I walked Lola and Alfie and Poppy. And oh, thank you so much, Janine, for your kind words. I really, really appreciate that. That is so nice of you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So Lola was slowing down. Even when I was in Boston, we would be walking in the park and I noticed her walking slowed down. And I would need to pick her up sometimes. And, she was a small Yorkie. She was 4.5 pounds when she was really healthy. So she was not a very large Yorkie. But what I noticed so that was in about 2022, her walking started slowing down. And then we moved to Arizona. And again, we lived in a beautiful renovated place, but we found out that that place had mold too. And at that point, Lola's health declined a lot. So about 4 years ago, I thought Lola was going to pass. And what's wonderful is I did a lot of holistic things, and she pulled out of the stall. And she, if you're an airline pilot, I took flying lessons, sometimes you get into a stall. She pulled out of it. And we had several more good years together. And I will just say, and I'm not trying to make anybody sad, but I thought, because we were so close, I thought about losing Lola a lot because I knew that it was going to be so hard. And, it's part of loving these animals. They are so lovable and so cute. And she was the cutest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, when she was healthy, she was so strong and fast, and she barked at everything and you couldn't stop her. And every single night when I would get into my bed, she would cuddle with me, and she would get as close to me as possible, and she would whine at me if I didn't position myself exactly as she wanted me to. And my husband used to say, "Doesn't that bother you?" And I always said, "No, because someday she won't be here to do it. So I'm just going to soak it up and let Lola be Lola, because that's important." And so I never complained about it. And so we had just a beautiful life together. She has been my sassy soul dog. She is smart, sassy, strong. But over our time together, I started to see some changes. And so 10 months ago was when it really started happening. We were living in an apartment, and it wasn't this apartment. And all of a sudden one day Jeff said, "Oh, look at Lola. She's being so cute." And I looked over, and Lola was on the ground with her front legs out, and the animals were all around her because I have several animals. And I said, "Jeff, she is cute, but she's not being cute. She can't get up right now." And what it looked like was the exact same super rare disease that my other Yorkie had. And what I want to say is that Yorkie was not related to Lola in any way. He lived with Lola. He wasn't from the same breeder, so it's not an issue. The cats are upset too. So one of the cats was best friends. And Scott, thank you so much for your kind words. I really appreciate it. And I didn't want to. I mean, I couldn't gloss over it and not talk about it, but I wanted everybody to know what happened to Lola as well. Hello, Funny Flonnie. It's so nice to have you on here. I really appreciate it. And I'm so sorry that you lost your barley. I really, really appreciate it. So, Lola had the same rare disease that Teddy had. And I recognized it right away. I thought it was that. And I brought her right into a neurologist. This was back in September. And this rare disease, if you don't catch, I knew what it kind of knew what it was because I had been through it before. And so she went, it's an autoimmune disease where your immune system starts attacking your brain and it melts your brain. And so it impairs your coordination. And so I got her into a neurologist right away. And we started a chemo with it's called GME. That's the disease that she had. And we started chemo once a month and steroids daily. And Teddy, my other dog, had the same disease, but with Teddy went into remission. So normally it's a 6-month treatment, and if things go well, your dog goes into remission and then stops treatments usually and only starts again if they come out of remission. But Teddy was 5 years younger than Lola was when he got this disease. So he was a lot younger. And Lola did pretty well. I will just say I did everything for her. I did the phototherapy patches that I use. I gave her special water from the X2O machine, which is amazing. She got supplements. She got amazing quality food. I gave her lymphatic massage. I mean, we did a lot of things. And her quality of life actually got a lot better. So she did, I won't say she fully bounced back, but she did very well for a long time. She wasn't the same Lola. She wasn't running around all the time. She wasn't playing with the other dogs, but she was still enjoying life. And so she went through all of those treatments. And back, I would say in April, all 6 chemotherapy treatments were done. And she wasn't in remission. She was actually getting a little bit worse. Not super bad right away, but she wasn't doing super well. But what I can say is I don't regret doing the chemotherapy. I think it was a really good treatment, and on many dogs it works. But at that point, we had to decide if we were going to still do chemotherapy or not. And what I can say is she didn't like it. And when we would leave the appointments, her trachea would collapse, and she was very anxious going to those appointments. So I had an appointment with her vet, with her holistic vet, and we spoke about it, and we talked about her quality of life and what we could do for Lola. And so we decided not to just continue chemotherapy indefinitely, because chemotherapy is pretty harsh, and Lola she was losing, ounces. And when you are a 4.5-pound dog, you can't really afford to lose ounces, right? You can't afford to lose weight. So we discontinued her treatments. I did every single thing that I could. We took her to to a holistic vet who's a regular vet, and she got ozone treatments. She got fluids because her kidneys were failing. She started a raw food diet, which she loved so much. But along the way, what was happening with Lola is her walking was really tough. And so her legs didn't really, I don't know how to say it, they just didn't always go where she wanted them to go. Sometimes I knew she was trying to turn to the right and her legs would go really far forward. And I could see her frustration in her face because, of course, I'm her mom. I don't need to be able to understand her words to know, because I can see her facial expressions and I know what she wants. I'm sure anybody that has a dog, if you are deeply connected to your dog, you just know what they want. You don't need for them to speak English. And her walking got tougher. So, she started to get a little bit incontinent, And that's okay. She was still eating, she still enjoyed. I would take her out in her baby carriage every single day without fail, but she started to not want to walk anymore. So I used to take her out of the baby carriage and walk right next to her, and she would really slowly walk, and she would bark and she would want to get down. But I saw some things start to change. And so she no longer wanted to get down and walk. And if she did, she was stumbling so much that we didn't want her to hurt herself when she was falling. So she stopped wanting to walk, and that was okay. We kept pushing her in her baby carriage. And she started having accidents in the bed basically every night. And again, that was okay. If anybody ever wants links to it so you know what to get if you have an older dog, I have a waterproof mattress pad on my bed, and I also got a really wonderful, soft, furry blanket that's waterproof. So I think I got two of them actually. I did. And I would leave one on the bed because she has been sleeping on my bed since she was just a tiny baby. And I was certainly not going to take away my bed that felt so good to her. So what I did is I put a waterproof blanket on it. And many times, basically at the end, for even the last few months, every time I woke up, she had gone to the bathroom on the blanket, and I would just change it and wash it every night. And if I woke up in the middle of the night and that had happened, I would just put a dry towel or a dry blanket down. No big deal. She never got in trouble. She could do whatever she wanted, but it's a good solution if you have an older dog. And so towards the end, if she was very, very thirsty and her kidneys were failing, so I would take her to get a drink from the water fountain. And so for the last 10 months, I've been waking up about 3 times a night to take care of Lola, sometimes only 2 or 1, but usually 3 to do different things for her. She wanted water a lot. So we would be a team. She would wake me up. I would pick her little body up, bring her out, and just hold her while she drank because she had trouble standing at night. By the time it was morning, her body usually warmed up and she was able to walk and do her things. But this happens, especially with autoimmune and neurological conditions, it can happen, and you just do whatever your dog needs. And so basically, the last probably 5 weeks, I knew it was coming. And so there was a lot of anticipatory grief where I cried a lot. I cried when I brought her to the groomer. I cried when I brought her to her twice a week vet appointments because I knew it was going to happen. And one of the reasons I'm talking about this is that most people will probably go through something with their dog. It could be a surprise and it may not be a surprise, but I just wanted you to know as well how I handled it lovingly and with honor to Lola. And so I knew it was coming. And the last time I took her to the groomers, I was crying when I got there. And I just said, I think this is probably her last grooming appointment, but I hope it's not. And I'm just taking it day by day. But I said, I just wanted you to know that I'm not sure if she'll be well enough to come back. And I know there's a possibility that I might forget to cancel her appointment. So will you be mad at me if I forget? And she said, no, it's fine. It happens a lot. So she got her grooming. But in the last few weeks, about 3 weeks ago, she stopped wanting to eat. So I ran to the store and I got all varieties of baby food, and I tried baby food until we found something she would eat. And she started eating again, and she would beg at the table, which she's never done. But Jeff and I made sure to always make things that she could have. So we started only eating dinner if it was something that Lola could eat, ground bison with no seasonings. And thank you so much, Angela. I really appreciate it. And I talk about it because, I hate to say, but it does happen to all of us, right? That is the price that we pay for loving these beautiful dogs. And my vet said that I believe the quote is, let them come to earth without wings so that no one knows that they are angels. And that is exactly how they are. They are angels when they come to earth. And we are so lucky to have such pure creatures to love. So she started, eating again. She would bark at us when we would eat dinner, and we would, cut up little things. Lola was 13 years old. She was 13 years old when she passed, and we would cut up little things, and she liked bison and she loved sardines. So if you have an older dog and they're not eating, sardines are very helpful. Baby food, They love things that smell. The turkey baby food she loved. She loved bison. She liked the raw food until she didn't. She liked peanut butter, goat's milk, yogurt. And so towards the end, what I noticed in the last week or two is that it started to really narrow, and I would offer her all of her foods. So I would offer her, her sardines, her goat's milk yogurt, and all of these different choices. And we finally got to the point where she only wanted sardines. And Nutrispire says Lola chose a good mom and home, honoring her beautiful spirit and yours, Megan. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm so lucky, so very lucky that I got to be Lola's mom, and I'm still Lola's mom forever. So it narrowed, and then it turned into just sardines. And when it became just sardines, and my husband didn't want to hear it because Jeff isn't really usually on here, but my husband has a very soft heart, and I have my own health issues, and when I would be taking care of my health issues, he would give them attention, and he would sit on the couch and massage them when I had to do all my holistic stuff. And he has been the best dad to these dogs. I mean, he truly, truly is. And for me, they're my children. I got married when I was 43, and my dogs, people will say that dogs aren't children. My dogs are my children. They just are. So she only ate sardines. And when it got down to just sardines, I was like, oh gosh, Jeff, this isn't good, because when it gets down to one food, you just know it's coming. So I was anticipating it and planning, and she was quite sick at the end. Still sassy, still, I wound up, this is funny actually. She didn't like sleeping in a bed anymore because we had to take away the stairs. It was dangerous because she couldn't balance well. So we had to take away the stairs, and you could tell she didn't like being up on the bed because she knew she could fall. And so I paid attention to her, and I could tell that when I put her on the floor, she didn't seem to like that either. So one day I threw a comforter down on the floor, and I laid next to her, and she went right to sleep. And that was when I knew she wants to be on the floor, but she wants her mama to be with her on the floor. So what did I do? I bought a futon, and I started sleeping on the floor, and she really liked that. She loved that. And it might sound like a lot, but it was just our special little ritual. So every night she would look at me and she would bark at me when I would get the futon ready, because she wanted me to get it. She loved to get into the futon and cuddle and snuggle. And that was a really special thing that we did. So I knew it was getting close. We slept on our futon. She was having accidents, and I was doing a lot of laundry, which was fine. But a few days ago, I want to say it was on Tuesday, she didn't want any of her foods. And when I offered them, if you've ever had an older dog, when I offered her the foods, she just turned her head. And she's had things happen. She's had pancreatitis, so sometimes it can be that. So I tried not to panic. I told my husband, I offered her different things, and we were able to get her to eat that night. Wednesday, I knew that I was going to see how Wednesday went, and Wednesday was much the same. And she was very weak, and she wasn't walking a lot, and she didn't look happy. When you look in your dog's eyes, your dog could be, she was, for the most part, she was very handicapped towards the end, but she still looked happy, and she still looked like Lola. Even though she couldn't do all of her things, she still would growl at the vet when they were going to give her her ozone injections. And she was still sassy. If the other animals tried to get her food, she would growl at them and bark at them and tell them that they couldn't have it. So I knew it was close, and I watched her on Wednesday, and Wednesday she still didn't want to eat. And we offered her all of her favorite things. She took a few bites of some ground bison, and my husband said, well, maybe we can try some other things. So I said, Jeff, this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. It's so hard. I did have to let go of my dog Teddy as well, but it was slightly different, but also very, very hard. But she was my soul dog. And I said, I just think she's trying to tell us something. And Lola and I always had little talks, because I think your dog can understand you. And I would tell her, when it's time, let me know that you want to go and stop eating, and I will let you go. And I told her, you don't have to worry about me. I will be very, very, very sad. But the most important thing for me is that you have what you need. And when you need to go, you need to not worry about mama, and you need to go. And so Wednesday, she really didn't want to eat, and I called the vet, and they do understand, Angela. The vet was so lovely. I spoke, Angela is actually the receptionist name, and they saw me 2 times a week, and I said, Angela, I was crying, of course. I cried a lot the past month. So if I seem like I'm not crying now, I am trying to hold it together, but also I cried a lot this month in advance. And I'm still crying, but trying to keep myself extremely busy. And so I said, Angela, this isn't what I want, but Lola's not eating. And I don't think that Sasha's crying a lot. He's her best friend. My kitty is her best friend. And he's very sad. He keeps looking for her in the house. So I said, I think tomorrow is the day, but I need to make sure that no miracles happen between today and tomorrow. Because if you don't know, it's very hard to decide to let your dog go. And to me, it is the final act of love, and it is what we all, hopefully do. And so I watched her on Wednesday, and Wednesday I cuddled her all night, and I just told her I loved her, and I touched her silky ponytail. Yes, I did. You want to come here, Poppy? Poppy, why don't you come and sit with Mommy? Because it'll be nice to touch your ponytail. And so I touched her ponytail. I told her I loved her. I watched her breathing, and I spent time with her. And I felt sad when the sun came up because I knew that I made an appointment for 11:30, which they said I could cancel if I needed to. But when we woke up, she actually got out of bed on her own. I woke up and she was gone, and she had quietly walked down the hallway, and she was laying sunbathing, just sunbathing. And she, I knew that I had to offer her some food because the night before I prayed and I just asked God, I said, I'm 98% sure, God, but if you could send me a 100% sign, a gentle sign to let me know that it's the right thing, I would really appreciate it, because this is really taking a lot of courage. And so I prayed, and that morning I knew it was time to offer her food. And so I offered her some hamburger, and she looked at it and she turned her head and she threw up twice. And she hadn't eaten anything, and she really hadn't eaten anything the night before. And my husband and I both looked at each other, and not to I'm just letting you guys know how I knew. But she basically was laying on a towel. I had put her there in the sun so she would be comfortable. And she went to the bathroom as well. And I'm not trying to be gross or anything like that, but if you ever are going to go through this, I just want you to know how I made my decision to do this. And when we saw it, I just said, Jeff, she doesn't feel good. She's so tired. Her body has worn out before her mind has worn out. And you know what your best friend wants. You really do. It's so strange because you don't know, and you don't know, and you're thinking about it, and you're circling around the decision, and nobody else can make it but the true companion and the true owner of the dog, because you have to live with it forever. And in that moment, I looked at Jeff and I said, Jeff, what do you think? And he said, there's only one thing that we can do. And I said, it's true, because anything else would be cruel at this point. That's right, Angela, her body and soul was telling me, and her eyes were tired. And so we knew at that moment. So I just wanted to share, because just in case you go through this too, that's how we knew. And was I super peaceful about it? No, I loved her so much. I mean, I cried, and I called my mama, and I talked to my mama, and we talked about it, and we knew it was that. So yesterday, and Poppy's really sad. So her sister, I adopted her sister. They're real sisters, but I adopted Poppy, her sister, when she was 1.5 years old. They've never been separated a single day in their lives since they were 1.5 years old. So I'm giving Poppy a lot of extra attention. Poor little Poppy. But yes, so her body did tell me. So we went to our appointment yesterday, and I brought her, I have all these beautiful blankets. So my mother she is the most loving mom, and she makes me these gorgeous handmade blankets, and we call them grandma's blankets, and the dogs love them. They love them so much. They are like a home for them. We put them down on the couch for them so they can get comfortable. So I wrapped her in a grandma's blanket, and I brought my teddy bear. My teddy bear is actually made from her best friend was Teddy. And when Teddy passed, we had a special memory bear made out of Teddy's things. And so we brought that teddy bear with us so that Teddy, her best friend, would be with her. And she was very tired and she was very peaceful. And on the way there, I told her the story of how I felt when I first got her. I planned for her. I bought beautiful accessories for her. I thought about names. I dreamed about getting her for months and months. I've had many animals and I love them all, but she was just the something that I really planned and I looked forward to. And I just told her, you exceeded my highest expectations. She was my best friend through everything. Take a little sip of water. And so I told her my feelings. I told her that I loved her. I told her I wished that we had more time. And I just gave her all my feelings, and I know she felt them. I had also told her in the past few days that I hope this doesn't sound funny, but I'm very, very close to the woman that she's a show breeder, and I got Alfie, Lola, and Poppy from the same woman. And I had already reached out to her because she always knows what's going on with my Yorkies. And I said, it's coming really, really close, and this is really hard. And she said, you have been the best dog mom I've ever known. You love your dog so much. And she said, I think she's worn out, you know? And I told the dog breeder, I said, I know you probably think I'm so crazy, but it will never replace her. But I know I'm going to get a little girl when she passes because I always want to have a young dog as my other dogs are getting older so that I don't upset them and wait too long, right? Alfie's 9, he's almost 10. And so I said, this sounds weird, but can you send me a puppy picture just to soften my heart a little bit? And she did. And so I told Lola about that too. And I said, when you pass, I'm going to get a little girl puppy so that your best friend Alfie still has someone to play with and to soften mama's heart. And I said, I want you to know that I'd rather you stay for 5 years and I'd rather have you, but I know it can't be that way. So I just want you to know that I'm doing everything I can to take care of myself and the other puppies. And I know she heard me. And basically we had a very, how do I say it? We had the best, worst experience ever because it's the worst thing that you never want to do. But our vet they're just incredible, you guys. And we wanted to make sure it was with our regular vet. And they cried with us. They teared up a little bit, not too much, but they love her and they took the best care. And they just gave us a beautiful experience where we got to sit with her. And if you can, I'm not judging you if you can't do it, but if you can be with your pet someday when this needs to happen, they will appreciate it. And I know it's hard, but it won't be any harder if you're not. It's not like being with them actually doesn't make it harder. It doesn't, because you know what a good and loving job you did. And I understand if for some reason you can't, I'm not trying to make you feel guilty, but we sat in there and we got to visit, and the vet was very, very nice. And I thanked them. I said, thank you for giving Lola so much love, and thank you for giving us so much love and helping us through the process and doing everything you could. We appreciate you. But they had a very nice way of doing it where there was a little bell you could ring when you were ready. So they let you choose and they let you spend as much time as you needed with your baby. So we sat with her. They did their thing. And if you don't know, they sedate your dog first and they bring it back. She was very relaxed anyway because she was tired. And we just talked to her. My husband was absolutely breaking down crying as well. He said, I didn't know it would be this hard. And I said, it is. And when I say Lola was a force, she was a force. I mean, our 17-pound cat was afraid of Lola. Even when she was 3.6 pounds, he was afraid of Lola. And that's right. It is the worst, but best thing, right? And staying till the end really makes a big difference. It does. It really does. And so we sat with her. She was sedated. Her ponytail was so silky. It was silky and beautiful. And I just gently touched her ponytail because I don't think it felt good to have her body touched anymore. I think she was just aching and feeling terrible. And they left and they said, just when you're ready, they said, you can sit for 2 hours if you want. You can sit for as long as you want. And when you're ready, it can be as long, it can be all day and we'll be ready for you. And I just want to say that was really beautiful. They did a really beautiful job. If anybody's in Arizona, by the way, it's called Kaibab Animal Hospital, and it's a conventional and holistic animal hospital. And their care of pets and humans is amazing. They're just beautiful people, and I'm going to send them, if anybody has any ideas, I was thinking of sending them an edible arrangement or a gift certificate to get lunch, but also a heartfelt letter explaining to them how much I appreciate them, because I sure do know that vets have a really tough job because they love animals. So imagine how much they love animals and imagine all the things like putting an animal to sleep when you love an animal. They have a really tough job. So if you do have a vet, please be kind to them and please thank them because they do so much and they have such big hearts. Angela says, I agree. Before I got my Yorkies, my little dog was 16 when she left me. My biggest regret was not staying until the end because I thought I couldn't handle it. Big mistake. But you know what, Angela? Here's the thing. Don't be hard on yourself. I guarantee you your dog was okay. And we all do the best that we can do. And I think the most important thing is sometimes we learn. I am a better dog mom. I'm about to turn my birthday's, I'm going to be 50 next week. And I am a better dog mom at 50 than I was when I got my first dog at 22. I have learned a lot. I share a lot. And even I share this experience because I hope it makes it less scary for you because it is scary, but it is something that we will all go through and we might do things differently the next time. We all do our best and we all do what we can do when we can do it. And so my husband and I spoke and we held Lola. I think the other dogs know. They've never had a time where I was here and she was not here. So I think Poppy here knows, but Poppy's pretty quiet most of the time anyway. Poppy went deaf this year, so we are really gentle. We always touch her gently and we try not to sneak up on her and we touch like that so she knows we're here. And that's right. Yes. And you will be there the next time. And that's okay, Angela. Then you know what? That's okay. We all do our best and your baby knew that your baby was loved. Thank you for sharing that. And so my husband and I sat and I looked at Jeff. We sat for about 20 minutes just holding her and talking to her. And I said, Jeff, I'll be honest. I don't think I'm ever going to feel ready for this. I just don't think I will. But I have to remember that the most important, this was my thought process. I just said, and I heard this saying, people say, it's better to do it a week early than a day too late. And that was one of the things I spoke about with the vet. And I said, I know that if you were making a decision, and I know you won't tell me what to do, but I know that you clinically looking at the different things that have happened to her, I know that you would say that the best thing to do would be to let her go because her body has just given up and that something bad could happen if we didn't do this. And I said, the thing that I want to avoid is any kind of incredible pain, anything traumatic. I want her to pass peacefully. And the vet completely agreed. And she said, I think that's a really smart thing to do because we can make it peaceful. And so that was important to me. So Jeff and I were sitting and I just wanted to sit with her all day. And I said, you know what? We know she feels terrible. So even though we want to sit with her all day, I think we have to let her go. And so we did. And the vet came in and I held her in a blanket. And I'll be honest. So Angela, I did close my eyes for a second. I held her and I kissed her and I told her she was beautiful. And I told her, some of you may not know this, but my little brother died when I was 26 and he was 22. And that was a big loss, a really big loss. And my dog Teddy died 8 years ago, also a very big loss. He was so important to me. And he was Lola's best friend. And Lola grieved him for months. After Teddy died, she used to stand over the bed. This is how special Lola was. She would stand over the bed and look at where Teddy used to sleep and just cry. And I had never heard her whimper like that, but she cried for Teddy. So right before Lola passed, I just said, you are free. I have loved every minute with you. I will see you someday on the other side. And I said, Ian will be waiting for you at the gates of heaven, and Teddy will be there, and your pain will be gone, and you will run free. And we let Lola go. And I did have to close my eyes for just a second, but I still held her, and my face was still there. But I did close my eyes for just a second. And they let us sit with her after for as long as we needed. And that was our day. And we left her wrapped. So I brought a beautiful Afghan, and I spoke to the vet, and I said, she's all wrapped up and she's all cozy, and I just don't want to unwrap her. I want her to be comfy and cozy and warm. So we left the blanket, and I said, I'll pick it up at another time, but for now, let's just leave her cozy. And we came back. We gave ourselves a day to just, I handle things differently than some people. We went to go get lunch because I hadn't really eaten anything. And I tried to eat a little bit and get a nice coffee. And I didn't do all my healthy eating stuff I do. I just said, today is a whatever day. It's like a wake. And we came back. And most of the time at this point, Lola was in her little bed all the time. She was sleeping most of the day. So during the day, it was very quiet and you didn't see her moving around. But when I really noticed it is when I went to go to bed, I didn't need to put a waterproof blanket on my bed anymore. And so there's a lot of reminders of her. I see her baby food in the fridge. There's still like little stains and things on her bed. And I just don't have the heart to wash those right now. So I'm just processing, taking it in one day, 1 hour at a time. And, I wanted everybody to know that she had a wonderful life. And I truly think she felt your love. And I felt your love. And I've always felt your love. But she has been a dog of a lifetime. Not just a dog, but a best friend, a child, an amazing angel that came into my life. And she will be missed forever. And that's just how it is, isn't it? I forced myself to go for a walk today, and I just thought about it a lot. And it was like, it just is what it is. This is the price that we pay for opening up our hearts and loving pets. But if the time does come, I hope that knowing about my experience and knowing that I was very fortunate to have the ability to grieve her beforehand and to go out every single day and put her in her baby carriage and to do special things. When I look around the house and I see all these things that were meant just for her, like if we went out to dinner, which was very rare, we wouldn't leave for more than an hour at this point. We would put the cats into their special playroom with the baby gate because we wanted to make sure that Lola was safe and nothing ever happened to her because the cats are so big and she was very fragile. When I would pick her up at the end, you could feel that her bones were fragile. I would pick her up in a blanket because she was just so fragile and things like that. Thank you so much, Flani. I really appreciate it. Yes, I think, I just think it's important to share. I've always shared Lola and I've always shared the dogs. And one of the things about talking about the dogs and the experiences is it is always my hope that when I share things, the things that I share will hopefully inspire other people to take great care of these amazing creatures. I know that a lot of people, and I'm not saying my viewers in particular, but a lot of people will see Yorkshire Terriers and they just think, oh, that's so cute. I want one. And yes, they are. But I think that the thing to always remember is that they are a lifetime obligation, which is wonderful. But it's like when we get a dog, we are married to that dog, but it should be forever. I know not everybody stays married forever, but for dogs, we are their person. And even when it's painful and even when they are old and when they need tons of care, it's always thinking about that moment, even as we get a puppy, that we need to be with them through their entire life. And I find a little comfort when I see all of the little special things around the house. I have rugs one after another so that Lola wouldn't fall and she would be able to grip herself. Sometimes I had towels around as well if she wanted to be near a window, and baby food and waterproof blankets and, mountains of laundry and washable rugs so that if she had an accident, I could wash the rug. But all of that, all I see is love. And so it's really important to just give these little creatures a wonderful life. This is her sister. Poppy's the same age as Lola, so she's 13. And just give them a lot of love and a lot of attention and honor their entire life. Not just when they're spunky and easy and 4 to 6 years old, but when they are seniors and they need our attention and love so, so very much. So I just wanted to tell you the story of her, and the Alfie and Poppy are doing okay. I'm giving them a lot of extra attention. And believe it or not, Alfie actually had some health issues this past week. We're not sure if he has valley fever or a collapsing trachea, but Alfie had to get a course of steroids last week and painkillers because I thought it was allergies, and it turns out they think it's his trachea, but if it continues, he'll need to go back to the vet too. So definitely appreciate the good thoughts for Alfie as well, because I certainly can't have things happen to both of my dogs. But I hope that this was I just want you to know it was very, very. It says, Scott says, when I first found you, I was thinking of a Yorkie. You taught me a lot, and now I have 3. Oh my gosh, I love that so much, Scott. Thank you for sharing your love for your buddies with us. Prayers for you and Jeff. Wow, thank you. That's so nice. And Janine says, almost 4 years ago, Isabella passed away, and you helped me so much with how to deal with her passing. You said so many wonderful things and did a video about Teddy. Yes, I did. And I have another video, everybody, about pet loss, and it was so hard to make. But another thing I just wanted to say as well, just to say, is that I have Trupanion insurance for all of my dogs, and it's not one of the companies that I'm an affiliate for or anything like that. But boy, that Trupanion insurance, it's expensive when you're paying it every month, and you always kind of am like, why do I have insurance? And then when something happens and you need to take your dog in for care, they were just incredible. They paid her ozone, they paid her chemo, they don't pay the exam fees, but it did make a big difference. So I definitely, you have stairs? Do you know how to use your stairs? Want to go over here? It's okay. It's funny, Poppy hasn't had stairs for so long, and she's not sure of what to do with them. But if you do consider getting a Yorkie, I highly recommend getting the insurance. When Teddy got sick, it was I think it paid out $45,000 or $55,000 for Teddy, and it paid out $12,000 the first week. They never ever hassled me about a bill. They never told me that they wouldn't pay anything. They just really did a great job. So just wanted to say, having pet insurance made a big difference, and I will definitely still be on here. I'm giving Alfie and Poppy a lot of love. I know Poppy's probably really missing her sister, and Alfie's really missing her best friend. So his best friend. So I'll still be on here. I'll still be taking great care of the other dogs, and not replacing Lola, but I will most likely be getting a puppy. That there were puppies born, I think, about 7 or 8 weeks ago. And I did tell the woman that I've gotten my other dogs from to hold one for me in case something happened to Lola. And I have different thoughts about it because I wish it could be Lola, but every dog is different and every dog is special. And she asked if I wanted a boy or a girl, and I said, honestly, I don't care. I think I'll just love anything. So it doesn't really matter to me. They're all such lovable creatures. Yes, Poppy, her sister Poppy, is a really, really, really sweet girl. Very different than Lola, a little bit bigger than Lola. And when Lola was healthy, they looked like twins, but Lola got super, super skinny, and then they didn't look as much alike. But Alfie is, I'll just show you I'll show you what Alfie's doing over here too. So Alfie is he's sleeping on his back, wearing a little Pampers on the couch. And that's Lola's little blanket. We haven't washed that. It's her bibbity bobbity boo blanket that she came home originally when she was a puppy in that blanket. And so we will have another puppy. It won't be Lola, but I just wanted to come on here and talk about my really special girl. She has been a blessing. I know there will be tears for weeks and weeks, but the thing that I hold in my heart is that we had a beautiful, beautiful 13 years together. It's okay, honey. We had a beautiful 13 years together. When I used to work, I had a dog nanny for her, and there was always someone that stayed with her. She wasn't alone when I worked for a long time, and I actually had three different they were my personal assistants, but they were really meant to be dog nannies, and all three of them wrote me on Lola's passing, and all three of them said beautiful things, and they all took such good care of her. So I'm appreciative that I got to spend time with her. I am so appreciative that I had such a beautiful girl. And you know, nothing lasts forever, but what a blessing she has been. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching, and I really appreciate all of you. And I hope I didn't make you too sad, but I wanted you to know what happened to Lola, and I wanted you to know it was peaceful. I wanted you to know that, like always, she was the boss. She let me know, and I listened to her. And the most important thing is Lola and how she felt, and her dignity, and she was honored up for every single moment of her life. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all of you, and I'll be back soon. So have a beautiful day, and give your babies a kiss for me. Thank you so much.